What's going on, Stellar Crew? Bob MacArthur here for Stellarvue Telescopes for this month's edition of In the Sky, June 2024. So summer is upon us. Milky Way season is upon us. I love this time of year. I love getting my scope out, getting under some dark skies, going camping, enjoying that beautiful Milky Way. Warmer nights are always nice too. What's great about June is you have a plethora of things to look at. You have the spring galaxies ending in the western part of the sky, and then in the eastern part of the sky, you're getting the Milky Way and the summertime constellations coming up. You have galaxies and nebula and star clusters, just a bunch of things to look at.
What's going on, Stellar Crew? All right, so let's get to it. Let's talk about what we got going on in the sky for June 2024. So June 1st, before sunrise, we have the moon sitting right there between Mars and Saturn. So I love it. We've got the planets coming up in the morning. Saturn's always fun to view, but we have that nice little trio out right there on June 1st. On June 11th, we have the waxing crescent moon near Regulus. So we have Regulus in Leo. It's getting lower in the western sky, and the moon's going to be near there. A couple nights later, the moon's going to bounce from Regulus to the brightest star in Virgo, Spica. And then on June 20th, the almost full moon is going to be right there next to Antares. So it's kind of fun to watch the moon bounce by some of those brighter stars in the sky. And on June 20th, the first day of summer, longest day, shortest night of the year in the northern hemisphere. So for our friends in the southern hemisphere, it's their first day of winter. So they're getting the long observing nights while we're getting the shorter but warmer observing nights. On June 27th, we have a daytime occultation of Saturn. So if you have not seen an occultation of Saturn, that's always a fun treat. It's not visible everywhere, so jump on that website there, www.lunaroccultations.com, and it'll show you where it's visible, what time it's visible. If you have not seen an occultation of Saturn, it's fun to watch that moon pass there in front of Saturn. And it actually, to me, looks like the St. Louis Arch when the moon is covering the moon's covering Saturn, and those rings are just visible. So fun to see. On June 29th, Jupiter, the Pleiades, and Mars are making a nice little grouping in the early morning hours. The Pleiades are always fun to look at, but when you add Mars in there and you add Jupiter in there, and they're kind of converging on each other, it's fun to watch because it does show you that things in our sky, in our solar system, are in motion. So definitely over the next couple nights, couple weeks, check out that grouping. And on June 30th, this will be a fun little challenge. Mercury is going to be really low in the western sky, right there next to Castor and Pollux. Now, Mercury is already hard to spot because it never veers too far from the sun in the sky, so it's always kind of in that glare. And then to try and get Castor and Pollux in there, so I could make a neat little trio to try and capture there. So let's talk about what we got going on with the moon in the solar system. We're right there, the moon phases. New moon's June 6th. So there you go. That's your dark sky, no moon night. So get out there, get under some dark skies, enjoy that moonless night and warmer night, hopefully for you all. And then the full moon, June 22nd. There's the full moon. So plan accordingly. Now the sun, woo, holy cow, the sun has been crazy. I hope you got to see the auroras wherever you were. I know here in Colorado, they were spectacular. My wife and I, we went out there, out towards the eastern plains of Colorado, and the northern light display we saw was phenomenal. So definitely keep an eye on the sun. Spaceweather.com is a great website. The National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration space weather website, NOAA Space Weather, they do a really good job kind of knowing when the auroras will happen, what geomagnetic storm we'll have. Will it be a G1 through G5? And we're coming up to maximum. So if this is any indicator of how this solar cycle, solar maximum is going to be, definitely check out those websites. Keep an eye on those things because who knows? We might be able to see the auroras again like that. It's been crazy to watch the sun. Now, as for planets, they're kind of stacking up in the early morning sky before sunrise. You have, Saturn and Mars and Uranus and Neptune. Venus is transitioning from the morning sky to the evening sky. So here in the next few months, we'll be getting Venus in the evening sky. And then, as Jupiter moves out from solar conjunction, it's going to join the morning planet party too. But right now, the key players are Mars and Saturn and Uranus. So get out there and check them out. So this is what I love about summertime, or at least June, because we're kind of in between that spring and summer. We get some of the spring galaxies, and now we're starting to see that Milky Way come up, and star clusters are all over the place. And I just listed a few. We have so many open star clusters coming into view. M39 and Cygnus is a good one to spot. You also have one that I enjoy, IC 4665 over there in Ophiuchus. Sometimes it's like a little V head, or sometimes it's referred to as a summer beehive cluster, but it's kind of up there in one of the shoulders of Ophiuchus, so check that out. But globular star clusters galore. Of course, we have the great star cluster M13, unbelievable, beautiful star cluster. M92 is another nice one too. Sometimes I feel M92 gets a little overshadowed by M13, both being up there in Hercules. You have M3 kind of squished in between, actually not squished, but it's in between Arcturus and Cor Caroli. Cor Caroli is in the constellation Canis Venatici, and then Arcturus is in the constellation Bodes, and it's kind of right there smack in between those two stars. And then you have M5 over there in Serpens. And then Ophiuchus has some globulars too, so M10 and M12, so lots of globular star clusters. And actually, I really enjoy looking at globular star clusters because I think each one has its own personality with how compact or how spread out it is, how bright it is. Even the patterns of stars, like in M13, you can, depending on your skies and how dark it is and your aperture, it's galaxy season. It's not galaxy, it's Milky Way season. I guess Milky Way, our galaxy season. There we go. But nebulas too. I mean, we were kind of in that dry spell of nebulas in the northern hemisphere. After the Orion Nebula goes away from the winter, and Thor's helmet, and all the wonderful wintertime nebulas, the spring kind of puts us in this lull of really bright nebulas. But we're getting back into it now as the Milky Way starts to rise in the evening. Some beautiful planetaries. M57, the Ring Nebula, my personal favorite. M27, the Dumbbell, another fun one to look at too. Now, one thing I encourage with planetaries is throw in a UHC or O3 filter. It'll start to pull out that detail. And depending on your aperture, the Dumbbell, I feel, has the little white dwarf is a little bit easier to pull out the Dumbbell. And sometimes, again, depending on your aperture, you could pull out the little white dwarf star in M57. The Eagle Nebula, the Pillars of Creation from Hubble. That's kind of where the Eagle Nebula got its fame there. But check it out, M16. And then you have the Crescent Nebula in Cygnus, NGC 6888, or Caldwell 17. That's a fun one to pop out too. And then there's some other fun stuff in Cygnus, the North American Nebula, and the Cygnus Wall. Favorite thing for people to image, NGC 7000 or Caldwell 20. Dark skies really help out with this. Filters can help out too. And I know there are a lot of different nebulas coming up in the summer, but these are the ones I want to highlight in June. We'll have some different ones for sure in July. Galaxies. Now, like I said, we're kind of in between the spring galaxy season and the summer Milky Way season. So I kind of just copied it from the previous episodes because we still can get those galaxies in Virgo. Leo's getting a little bit lower, so early in the evening you can get those. Ursa Major, Big Dipper, still placed really nice and high in the sky, and so is Coma Berenices. So we can still get a lot of galaxies too. So it's a fun time of year to view. Binaries, there's just so much to look at. It's great. I love it. So, the double. And with refracting telescopes, I at least love to look at binary stars. And I think that with just the optics in refractors, it can bring out those really nice pinpoint stars. And the double in Lyra is just one of those. So check out Epsilon Lyra. Beta Cygni Alberio, for the longest time, was one of my favorite binary stars until I started looking at more and more binary stars. But it is just a crowd pleaser with that. I think it's the color difference is really what allows Alberio to stick out, because you kind of get that goldish star next to that like bluish star, and it is just a beautiful binary to look at. 61 Cygni, this one's also fun. Not much of a magnitude difference, but it has a nice separation. So it's just a really just classic binary star to look at. Now, Beta Cephei is going to be a little bit difficult. Not necessarily difficult, but it's fun because Alphabet has a brighter primary and a quite a bit fainter secondary star. So they're there, and it's really neat. It's neat to see that brightness contrast. So we have some just classic binary, a fun binary in the double, great colorful binary in Beta Cygni, and then you get the in Albireo, and then you get the nice brightness contrast with Beta Cephei or Alphabet. So get out there and check that one out too. So, you know, we're getting past those cold, crazy winter months, and in spring weather it can be kind of crazy, and now we're getting into June, which we love June because it's summer. We can get out there, go camping, and we got our telescopes, barbecues, set that telescope up, get some friends over for a barbecue, or just get out to your favorite dark sky site and just enjoy that cloud of Milky Way coming up. I remember one time, I do student trips. I take students to different places to show them the science. And one year, I took a group of students to Hawaii, and we were on Mauna Kea. And the skies were unbelievable. And I had a student say, "Oh, Mac, the clouds are rising." I'm like, "Nope, that's the Milky Way." So get to a dark sky site, look to the east, watch that Milky Way. Share the skies with your friends or your neighbors. I love doing that in the summer too, as neighbors are out walking in the nice summer, warmer nights, and they'll stop by and look through my telescope when I got it set up. So just get out there, have fun, keep looking up.